What I wanted to do is there's 5 types of senior living options out there, and so what I've done is give a really just short overview of each one. And then when I'm talking and going over these, please, as Donnie said, just raise your hand. At any time, because something might spur you on and you want to, before we get into the next one. So don't hesitate. But I want to start with independent living. Independent living, it encompasses a wide range of housing arrangements from apartment-style communities, housing co-ops, and it's the least restricted of all of them. It's just what it says. The residents live in their own apartment, in their own dwelling there, and they have access to common areas where they all gather to either eat. Most independent places have a nice dining room, and they can choose to eat in the dining room, or they can choose to just eat in their rooms. All independent living have a full kitchen. So it's like a regular apartment, but usually in a big old, like a hotel setting, you see. And so they have a dining room that they can eat in, or they can stay in their room and cook. So these places are kind of geared like they have a club, like you can like golf. Some of them are close to a golf club, a golf house. Some of them are just a retirement community of 55 and up. Those types are designed for seniors who still live independently, but the features and the amenities in their dwelling area are usually comparative to those in a small home or townhouse or apartment. They're independent living where you're in, and y'all have seen them probably here in Weatherford. Unfortunately, Weatherford does not have a real type of independent, where the building's there, you come down to your dining room. A lot of them here are neighborhoods, like a gated community where you can go in and they're 55 and up and they live on their own. They have a clubhouse down the road that they get together and do things in. But they're 55 and up, so there's no one, it's not made for multiple families, it's just 55 and up. So there's their type, and then there's the type that I kind of discussed here of independent living, where you go and you live in this building and you have your own apartment, and there's all kinds of different features that you can be involved in. Your rent and the utilities, all of that usually is in one lump, and then you can decide if you want to join the recreational part of it. And as you all know, the more you join, the more additional cost there's going to be, and so that's to be expected in the way it goes. But independent communities aim to make their residents' each day of their life a bit easier, enabling them to live alone as long as they can. You don't have to mow your grass. You don't have to, a lot of things like that. If you don't want to cook anymore, you don't have to cook. You can go downstairs or wherever. If you don't want to do house cleaning, you can pay for that too, your house cleaning. So it really is independent living, and just without all of the upkeep of a home. And there's some really nice independent living places out there. I do wish that Weatherford had more opportunities, because, we have a lot of wonderful seniors that would probably really enjoy that. So, but there's just not a lot of them out there. They're all in the big cities. Yes, ma'am? Uh-huh. Oh, yes. Uh-huh. Yes, and that's a good point. You're not done living. You are just choosing to maybe downsize a little bit, get rid of a lot of stuff, and move into a smaller area, you are free to come and go. You have your car. Some of them have assigned parking, covered parking, that kind of thing. I know over where I'm at, they have covered parking. I don't run the independent side. I run the assisted living and memory care side. But yes, they all have their parking. And just because you asked that question, because I know it's going to probably come up, even in assisted living, you can still have your car and come and go. It depends where you're at, and I'll get into that in just a minute. Some people, they're like, what? I can have my car? So, yes, ma'am, Linda. No. Yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Independent living is independent living. Medicare does not cover any of it. Unfortunately, when we get over into assisted living too, it really doesn't cover that either. Uh, there's ways, and I'll get into that. There's ways that it can be covered. But no, independent living, it could be any one of us here today. That we're just, okay, I know we have several acres that we mow and take care of and that kind of thing, and we love our home, but at some point, Rick just wants to be able to go out the back door and throw his rod and reel over the side and fish, but there's different, some people would love that kind of environment, but it just depends on what you like, and you make good friends, and there's going to be, just like in any type of maybe an HOA in a neighborhood, you're going to have in these independent livings, they're going to have a council that they usually put together, and the people have a say-so in some of the things that they desire to be done or want done and that kind of thing. So, you have some say-so in it as one of the residents there, and but it is, you would think it would be on the more expensive side, and it is expensive depending on where you're at, and how much help you want. Do you want all three of your meals, or most of them will, in the cost of the rent, most of them will include a couple of meals. They may say, your breakfast is free, but lunch and dinner, or breakfast and dinner, you can choose how you want to do it. And then some of them will do meals in all three of them. Some of them will offer the cleaning, and some of them you pay an extra price. So, it just depends, and it depends on location. And, you've probably seen commercials on TV of these high-rise, beautiful places in Dallas and Fort Worth, overlooking a beautiful, pond and the fountain, and that's what it's like. It's for senior adults living and not having to take care of, and it's designed to help them be able to just live their life and enjoy it, and not have, most seniors have put in a lot of time and money over the years, and I don't have, as far as when I look at the independent living, I think it's a great opportunity and a great, if you can do it and you feel good about selling your place, that's the number one reason. Some people just can't get there because they don't want to let go of, we've lived in this house forever, and that's where my parents are, We lived in this house forever, and we don't want to, this is where we're going to die. And a lot of people feel that way. Yes, they do. And so, and usually, unfortunately, sometimes that changes too. Let me get into assisted living a little bit, and then we can answer some more questions that go along with it. So, independent living, you're free to go. You're living the good life. You've got your group of friends, and you come and go as you wish. You can play golf. You can go out and just enjoy yourself and not worry about having to keep up a home. Assisted living, on the other hand, well, as far as it is an apartment-style living. Individual units, they may be equipped with full kitchens or like the ones that been a part of. I've never done or ran an assisted living that had a full kitchen. They have the full refrigerators, microwaves, and sinks, so it's a little kitchenette. But they don't put stoves in there for a reason. And so that's why they call them, a semi-full kitchen. But this type of community is geared more towards helping aging adults who may be needing assistance and with their daily activities like dressing, bathing, doing their laundry, taking medications. Medication administration is the number one reason of need in assisted living. Medication assisted, because people start messing up and they miss a dosage, or they didn't take it on the right time and that kind of thing. So that's one of your number one reasons that people, when they come to assisted living. So there's also there's a staff there around the clock, a medical professional like an LVN or an RN, and they're on call 24 hours a day. But they're not a hands-on type of community where they're doing intensive care type, skilled nursing type stuff. So they come there with needs, of course. And as I said up here, a lot of them, they come because they may need that help with medication, but some of them it's a more physical thing. They may need help, as I've said here, with showering and bathing, getting to and from, whatever it is, a need that they have. And usually they do have more than one of those when they come to an assisted living. I just threw this out there. The average monthly cost of a private one-bedroom in assisted living is $37.50, and $37.50 does not include, so that you know, it does not include this level of care that you see here. Most all assisted livings, you pay for your rent, your room, and then you have a level of care. And that's where people get very confused about it, because they come in and they think we're going to get this apartment for mom or dad or for self, and okay, how much is the apartment? That's the number one question when they call. How much is a one bedroom? How much is a two bedroom? And you tell them, but it all depends on their need, what they need. Are they going to need med management? Are they going to need help going to the restroom or toileting? That kind of thing. So it depends. And then that is where the costs start getting a little high, depends. It can start anywhere from, and I'm just going to go off from my own experience, and please know that there's a lot of places out there, and so when you get ready to look, make sure you ask these questions, because there could be some that are different. Some could be all-inclusive. That's really the case when you get into memory care, which is what I'm going to get into here in just a minute. But you want to ask those questions, level of care. Is there an extra cost for level of care? And that can range from coming in at $200, maybe $400, maybe $600, $800. I know where I am, our costs for medication alone, if you're coming in just so you can get help with taking your meds, it's $400 right off, so that's added onto the rent. $400 for medication management. So, and then if there's anything else, sometimes they'll come in and we interview them and we see, or mom and dad didn't come with it. It might be the kids that come in and they're saying, well, they can do this, they can do that, and then mom and dad move in and it's the third week and we're going, oh my goodness, there's a lot more need here than what the kids thought. And so, from my perspective, we're always willing to work with that. You need a couple of weeks when someone moves in one of these communities to see if there's more needs there. So, that price could go up or it could go down, just depending on their needs. So any questions on assisted living? Yes, ma'am. Yeah, there's a few different ways that can happen. She asked if they still would need to bring in their medication from other places and stuff like that. And so what happens, and you always have the option to do it yourself, to come in, to do bring the meds yourself as a loved one. And, you know, a lot of people, depending on where they're at with their mental frame, you know, can leave those little pill boxes, and, you know, they may have more needs in the physical realm, but they can give themselves their own meds. But as far as pharmacies, every assisted living is going to have what they call their own, but don't let that be set in stone, because you still have an option if you want to go down to your hometown pharmacy and get the prescriptions and bring them in, because it is a little bit more expensive to go through a community, but some people choose that. When you go through the community is responsible. They're going to order every med. You bring the meds in upon coming in, and then from then on, those meds, we order them. We take care of when they're running out. We call, and those meds are delivered to the community in a bubble pack. They go into, and this is everywhere, they go into a med cart, computerized, and if it's 3 times a day, they go and administer 3 times a day. If it's 1 time a day, no matter what it is, there has to be a doctor's order. But yes, you can still bring that in, or you can let the community do it yourself. So that's a great question that needs to be clarified when you come in. So yeah, great question. Any other? Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay, medication, and there again, I'm kind of going on my experience, but like I said, 400. Some of them do tiers, level 1, level 2, this tier, that tier. All of it's about the same as far as the cost of what it may be to get this extra care. What Donnie was asking is, you know, what are some of the costs for the other needs upon coming in? Say they just need help with dressing. They've gotten arthritis, can't really do it, can't move real fast, and they need help with that, and maybe a shower. And so, you know, you're going to be around an extra 200 for that. If you're doing meds, that's probably, you're already up to 600. So I want you to understand each level does cost extra. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Great question, Betsy, because that's another, what she asked was that example that I gave in there on the amount of a person coming in to assisted living. She asked if it was a single person or for a couple. Almost every single, well, I don't know of one place that doesn't do it this way. Your second person occupancy is what they call it, is usually around $1,000. Now, they have a little wiggling room to do that. You know, they may go down a little bit, can go up a little bit, depending on the other needs. But, so just put that $1,000 onto what the cost of moving in is. And so, I wish they would just price it out there like that. But, oh, by the way, the second person occupancy is $1,000. But that's how it is. That's just how it is. But, you know, you may, as Donnie was saying, you may have another need, showering, and you may need just help getting dressed each morning. There's all kinds of different needs out there. And what I'm going to cover here in just a minute with memory care, it's going to kind of get into a little bit deeper of those needs, whether the need is a physical need or a mental need. Assisted living usually gets all of that. They really do, because they come in with a need, whether it's physical or they're declining or whatever, and then they start progressing and they're declining. But so you get all kinds, and I'm you want to keep your loved one or yourself in assisted living as long as you can, and a lot of them will stay there and not unless they have a diagnosis of Alzheimer's or dementia and not have to go over to memory care. Yes, sir. Yes. hmm Except for independent living. Independent living, but yes, assisted living, memory care, your meals. So what you normally get, and I don't know of any that's really any different. They may run some specials and do things a little different, but what you get for assisted living and memory care is all of your meals, okay? Then you get your room cleaned every week. Tidied every day. Tidy is taking out the trash, that kind of thing. Now, if you're in memory care, that room may need to be cleaned 3 or 4 times a day. So usually it's a little bit more all-inclusive. But anyway, that's what it includes. And then, so you have your 3 meals. And then also, if you need to go to doctor's appointments, transportation is usually included in that, unless it's like to Fort Worth or something. The particular one that I'm involved with now has a medical director that comes there every Monday. We have a doctor, and so the residents he just sees them there at the community, which is wonderful. So when you start looking for that, if, some of them may have their doctor they've had forever and they don't want to give that up, and that's understandable. But it also, and believe me, during COVID last year, it was a blessing to have a doctor coming to our community and not, having to take them all out and everything. We have other things that are offered, and most all communities do say we have a podiatrist that comes. And so if you want a podiatrist, hearing aids, those kinds of things will be just an added thing that they can participate in. But so those are the main things that you're looking at when you go into assisted living. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. 1,000? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let me get into memory care. The 400 I spoke of was an automatic if you're going to do medications. It's $400 extra. Some places it may be 100 or so cheaper. It might be 100 or so over. I'm using that as a base there. But yes, you're going to pay that. If you need that help with meds, you're going to pay it right up the front. Yes, sir. So. But memory care is a little different. They're designed, to help with the Alzheimer's, dementia patients, and most of the time there are other memory type related diseases. And now I will say, there's some, we have residents that are may have Parkinson's. That kind of deal. Another type of multiple sclerosis. It's not always a memory situation, but most of the time it is. And, unfortunately, it always breaks my heart because memory care, for those who have the memory issues, they don't really even know any different when they're there. But for someone that has to be there and they're trapped in a body because they can't, but their mind is good, that to me is the hardest part right there. But memory care will service those needs too. And I've experienced both, So, and it's hard, but at least there's a place that they can go and have, because memory care does it all. I mean, it's a... from the time they wake up in the morning and all day long, they're watching over them, and usually they have a cognitive issue of some kind, and a doctor will need to write an order to enter into memory care, or most of the time even assisted living. If a family just comes to us and says, mom or dad they're declining, they're not taking their meds, they're not eating well, all that kind of stuff. Well, we start asking questions about the doctor and all that. And sometimes they haven't been to a doctor in years, that kind of thing. But we do like for a doctor to be able to give us an order of yes, they are ready for assisted living or memory care. In as far as memory care, we give them this test here that I was talking about, and they call it a Menti-Mental. And there's like 20 to 25 questions, and they answer them, and it kind of helps us know where they may be. Now, when they get there, we may learn a little bit, like I said a while ago, but it helps us determine whether they can be redirected or if they have to have additional help, consistent sights, sounds, aromas, and so we want to help them. There's certain things that can cause them to have a lot of anxiety, and so memory care helps in that way. One good thing, let me go back just a minute for assisted living and memory care. If they can, when we say can they be directed, what we mean by that is they bring them in. Okay, here's Sally. We're on the second floor down at the end. Something's going on. Sally, we need you to go to the elevator and go downstairs. We need you to go out to the front. Can Sally do that? Or would she be totally oblivious to what that meant? Usually memory care, and that's why they're locked units, with a code and everything. But, I've been at the one here at Brookdale, and it wasn't a memory, but it was a lockdown place where you had to have a code to get in. And a lot of times that is just for safety, but a lot of times we just got to know where they stand, where they're at mentally. Can they do that? Can they get to the front door if there's an emergency? But if they stand there and they're just lost, well, you pretty much know that they need that. They need that memory care. So, that's just one of the things. Redirecting sounds simple, but it's huge when it comes to that. And so, memory care has people that are trained to communicate with these types of residents. They learn what kind of ticks them off, and we have some really angry people sometimes, and then you have those that are so pleasant and so sweet. It can get like a school playground sometime. It really can, because they I had to break up one time. A man hitting another one over the head with his cane, and it was just all kinds of commotion. But yes, and there's good memory cares, there's bad memory cares, but the main thing is that your loved one is receiving all of those basic needs, and they're being taken care of. A memory care, I didn't put this in my transcript here, but memory cares are hard to find that are also really good because unfortunately they don't have good hygiene anymore. They may go to the restroom in their room in a garbage can. Their mind is not there, and so it's really hard. And so you walk into a memory care, and then you think, oh, it doesn't smell good in here. A memory care can smell good, so yes, it's a constant battle to keep on top of that. So don't let that scare you. This isn't the right place. But I would also, on the other hand, check out the cleanliness of it. That's important to me. I mean, and it would be to any of you for your loved one or yourself or whatever. So, yes. So just that, those are hard ones. Those are really hard ones. Yes, Donnie. Yes. Hold on to your bootstraps. So, this is average. I'm not going to say this is average. I'm going to say we're on the high end, okay? Because of where I'm at now, right now, we're on the high end. just to get in the door, to get a room, it's $6,008 a month, okay? That has nothing to do with the care level, nothing to do. Just like in assisted living, you're going to start paying more for the meds to be done, more for the, dressing and showering and stuff like that. Now, some of them may be all-inclusive. And so when they say all-inclusive, make sure you ask and break it down. Oh, so does that mean we don't have to pay extra for meds to be managed and given? We don't have to pay extra for them to get a shower. We don't have to pay extra for you to take them to the toilet and to change them. Memory care, every day they wake them all up. Now some will get up on their own, but they've got a routine. They get in there, they wake those precious little people up, they get them dressed, so they do their showers and get them all ready. They all go out to eat in a common area unless they're bedbound. And so, it's just a constant, and their eyes are on them all day long. That's the way ours is, and most all of them is going to be separated from the other part if there's an assisted living there. And so it's just one big community. Like mine is a horseshoe, and you walk in, and so in the middle of that horseshoe is where the hub of everything. They have a little kitchen, they're fed here, this is their activity area, over here is a TV area and a music area, and on the outside of that horseshoe is all of the apartments. Memory care apartments, you usually do not have a spouse, a companion. They're not designed for two people. So.
How is this paid for? Medicare, Medicaid, personal, private?
Okay. Right. He asked. Most of y'all heard him. How is it paid for? I will say most of the time, just like assisted living, it's. Unless you have a long-term care insurance policy or you are a veteran. So what does that mean? You are a spouse of a veteran. What does that mean? If you were in active duty and you served our country, you are eligible for what they call aid and attendance. It has nothing to do with Medicaid or anything like that. Unfortunately, I've had some really proud fellas say, "I'm not going to touch that." That's like taking charity or something. It's not. You served our country, and it's for veterans. And so what they do is, and it's for the spouse too. So you have to have a couple of needs. And you pass those needs, and I have a mother-in-law that gets this, and my father-in-law's been dead about 12 years, but she gets it, and I'll just tell you, she gets about $1,800 a month, depending. Sometimes it depends on where you in full-time, what degree you were in the military, and that kind of thing. But what I know is she gets about $1,800 a month, and so it goes towards her living in a memory care. There's also long-term care. Oh, yay. So see? Yeah. Long-term care, I wish more people knew about long-term care and took it out. Younger people, oh my goodness, look into it. It's the best thing because long-term care, it's exactly what it is. It's an insurance policy for people when they get into their elder age and they're having to go into a long-term care community. My mother-in-law also has this. We haven't had to touch it, thank goodness, but it's there for the worst part, And if you have long-term care, it usually pays. It just depends. There's Genworth. There's all kinds of different ones. Does anyone in here have a long-term care policy? Your mother has one? Yes. It's. Yes. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're right. Yes. Hmm. Right. Yeah. And your long-term care policies will have some different, um, criterias in there. And I will encourage any of you. One of the things that I noticed, there would be people that came in, and we would ask, does your mom or dad have a long-term care policy, or do you have a long-term care policy? Yes, I think. I'm not sure. They've been paying on something for years, just for years. And then I'll hear, well, we checked it out and they said that mama didn't qualify for that and she was, paying on that. There have been more people, I feel, that have probably passed away without ever using their long-term care policy that they could have used, that, they paid, a lot of them got them a long time ago. They may have paid $25 a month, I don't know. But and unfortunately, and I'm not here to bash any kind of insurance company or anything like that, but check it out. There's been more of seniors that I feel like has been taken advantage of on those insurance policies because they were told you don't qualify right now, and they just keep paying it. Yes, Donnie?
Some long-term care insurance policies, if your loved one is a veteran and saw action during a wartime, that means they have a benefit. There are VA homes in Dallas and now in Fort Worth that they may be able to have that service as a benefit given to them as an option. So you will want to check that out.
Absolutely. And I just say, okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yes, and that's important, and that's kind of sad because a lot of them make a career out of just, the Corps, the Army Corps, whatever. But yeah, you have to have seen action. You had to be in, active duty. Yes. Was there someone? Yes. Sure. Uh huh. Mhm. Mhm. Yes. Yes, yes. She's mentioning when you go into memory care to maybe talk about the hospice. Most memory cares, not all of them, but like where I'm at too, hospice is highly accepted, encouraged. Home health. I want to mention too. I don't want to get by without going through each one of these. But home health is also an asset in assisted living and memory care, and it can help your cost go down a little bit. A lot of people don't know that, but say you get on home health comes in there, they may shower 3 times a week, so that community is not having to do that. So that gives you a little bit of bargaining room. But what she also said was hospice. Most all of our memory care people actually die on hospice. We have probably, like right now, out of 20 rooms, most probably have 17 that have hospice. And yes, and then they can come in with it. You can even come into a memory care. Yes, you can even come into assisted living on hospice. And I'm a big advocate of that because it's more eyes. Anything you can do to have more eyes on your loved one, I think that is a big asset, and that they let you come in and you be a part of it. And for some people, that's a blessing. Other people, don't want to be there that much. It's too hard for them. But just remember, there's several different avenues to enhance the care of your loved one, whether they are in memory care or in assisted living. Yes, ma'am.
That Medicare or Medicaid is not assisting the cost of any kind of assisted living.
You are correct. You are correct. Unfortunately, Medicare is not, a lot of people, and they'll say, well, what about Social Security, Medicare, and all that? We don't take that like, okay, well, you have Medicare, so that'll pay for this much, whatever. It's not even an issue in it. It's usually just called private pay. If you do not have long-term care or the veterans, you can know that it's going to come out of your pocket.
Okay, I do have a question. I volunteered a couple of years ago at a local nursing home, and there were many people in there that were destitute, and they were there free.
Okay, she said she volunteered at a local nursing home. Your nursing homes, and as I have on here, skilled nursing is a lot of times nursing home. They'll go in to a skilled nursing because they have a rehab issue, or they've fallen, or they've broken something, and they had to go to skilled nursing. That's usually the next step, is usually going to be assisted living or memory care. But what she was saying, where she volunteers, most of them were destined, and they didn't have any money. A lot of your, quote, nursing homes, that's where people go. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of help out there. I mean, for people that don't have any type of insurance or Medicaid care, that Medicaid is where they go. And I get calls all the time. Do y'all take Medicaid? Do y'all take Medicaid? I've got calls here in Weatherford all the time. Do you take Medicaid? And I always try to have something to give to them to get them at least started. If they're not a good fit where I'm at, I want to help them. It can be so hard to find. And, some people just don't have that kind of, that's a lot of money, $6,000 plus care. Some of the people where I'm at pay $7,000 to $8,000 a month for care, and not a lot of people can do that. I mean, so unfortunately, Medicaid places are needed, and there's some good ones. And let me just say this, usually your Medicaid places, they're not going to be that pretty, shiny, fancy walk-in-the-door place. They're going to be a little run-down, but those people work so hard. And unfortunately, sometimes there's good ones and there's bad ones. So, and you might think, oh, that one smells so bad. And smell is a big thing when you're up there. But just remember, it can look as shabby of shabby and have the most wonderful care.
Most facilities are limited in how many Medicaid beds.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. That's correct. Most facilities are limited unless it's just a whole campus of Medicaid. If it's a building where they're all, I know when I was at Brookdale, we were not a Medicaid community, but we were allowed up to 2 or 3 cases a year, and what it was for was if we had someone that had lived there quite a while and their money just ran out. You're going to kick them out on the road? No, you don't want to do that. And so that's when they can apply for the assistance, the help, and get that. But that is a great question, and you really want to ask that question when you start looking because of long term. Ask that question, what happens to my mom or dad down the road when all of their means have been exhausted? They don't have VA assistance, or what would y'all do? And just be prepared, for some of those questions or answers. Yes. No. Yes. Yes. The rest of this, we just talked about skilled nursing a little bit. Companion sitter service and home health. I talked about home health a little bit. There is sitter services out there now. They're popping up everywhere. and they're usually run under a home health license, but they can come and help you. They usually they take, just so you know, they also take VA and long-term care. Um, you have to ask, not all home healths do that, but these sitter companies, that's something to ask. Do y'all accept long-term care or VA? And a lot of them do, and they usually charge by the hour, but you can get them to come to your house for 4 hours a day. Um, or you can get them 8 hours a day. I have one coming in my community, and this person lives there, but because they are requiring a companion around the clock, this family has hired the sitting company, and they can afford it, so they're there. They're the companion, and they're there around the clock. That's a lot of money, but that's what they need, and they can do it at home. Sometimes if you're taking care of a loved one at home, you just need a few hours to be able to get out and do something. If, hospice, it may be involved and may not be involved, but just know that that is an option for you. And before I open it up to any more questions, I just want to say this, because this is always passionate to my heart, but if you are, first of all, you do not want to wait until you're in a crisis to have to go find an assisted living, a memory care, or something like that. So many times people wait until they're in a crisis. They see it coming, they know it's coming, they've seen the behavior, but they just kind of keep putting it off. They don't want to upset mom or dad. We don't want to, and then all of a sudden one of them has fallen and broken a hip. The other one can't take care of them. And you find yourself, they're in a rehab like the skilled nursing, and the doctor says can't go back home, cannot go back home. And and sometimes, they will release them from skilled nursing without much of a warning to you, and they can't go back home, and you're scruffling around to try to find a place to get your mom or dad in, and it's so hard sometimes like that. So try to talk to your loved one, and I'm talking to me when I say that, because I have parents that are just like, no, we're going to stay right here, we're going to die right here in my home, and that kind of thing. So try to talk to them. And then the other thing real quick I want to say is, for those of you that do take care of your loved ones, if you're taking care of your mother, for instance, there comes a time then you need to be the daughter or the son again, not the caregiver. And so when it starts taking its toll on you, that's when I want to be her daughter again. I want to be her son again, or his son again, instead of that caretaker all the time. So those are some signs to look for whenever you're in that situation. Just don't wait for the crisis, and then just try to remember that you need to be taken care of too. Yes, ma'am. We're going to just answer some questions now. Uh-huh. Okay. She asked if you lived out of town from your parents, what's a good company that you can start looking at? There are endless companies out there that are geared just for that. You can Google, there's one called A Place for Mom. You've probably seen commercials. There's caring.com. There's a lot of, and usually these are they're all over. They're, across the whole United States. So they're going to be, when you call that, they're going to find out where you're calling from, and then they're going to connect you to numbers in your area, or that area where your parents live. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yes, they're going to get as much information from you as they can, and then they're going to give you several different avenues. People can call you and say, this is what we're about, somebody else. And so, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. 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 Right. And like in her case, she doesn't live close to her, so she wants to know what's available in that area. But the same thing goes, one of these places, and then the respite care, most places have in their own community certain agencies too. And a lot of them are businesses that are well known, and then some are private. So, yes, ma'am? Oh, yeah. Yes, she mentioned something that I did not. Thank you very much. It's like a bad word for me, but most all of these places. In fact, I don't think there's one that I know of that doesn't do this. Upon entering, there's what's called a community fee. A community fee, it's not a deposit because you do not get it back. Okay, it's a flat fee you pay upon coming in. Mine is not the highest, it's not the lowest, it's right in the middle, kind of a $2,000. And people go, "Whoa, what is that for?" And we say, "Well, every time somebody moves out, we go in and we paint and we recarpet, and all of that's true. All that's true. We make it fresh and everything. But just know that you're going to pay going in. Sometimes people move in and before they leave, they wrote a $10,000 check, just because it all adds up. It's double occupancy. It's, the community fee. It's this and that. So and there's ways, and hopefully people will work with you. And I know when there's that big of a price when they're coming in the door, they may need a little bit of help. And I hate to say this, but don't be afraid to, I don't want to say bargain, it doesn't sound right, but just lay it out there. Yeah, negotiate. You can negotiate. It's going to either work or it's not, but, I would encourage you to do it. So, yes. Yes.
Would I be correct to assume that as far as the basic rents and all that, that's at market depending on how nice and.
Yes, depend on how nice. Yes, the one over there in Granbury's right off the lake. It's on the lake, and so it's a little bit more expensive. But that there's others that won't be as expensive as that, and it just depends on the area. You're exactly right. hmm Yes, and you're right, and you're so right. And I hate to say that, but that's the worst part of my job is at the end of the year when I have to start getting letters ready to send out in January about the rate increase. And you can just imagine about either 1 to 3% is an average, and unfortunately we say that's a kind of cost of living, it's going up, but unfortunately people's that are retired, theirs isn't going up, So.
Chambers of commerce in the cities that you may be, where your loved one lives and may be using, will have lists of those agencies that are caregiver agencies. But what you want to do, if you solicit the help of any one of those, is you want to be sure that they are bonded.
Yes.
That's very, very important. Now, the agency is going to help you to solicit someone, but they are bonded. If anything goes missing, then they are liable. And we had that happen with Marcia's sister prior to her death earlier this spring. She was in a nursing home for a number of years, and she missed clothes and TVs and hearing aids and all of those kinds of things. Some of you have maybe experienced that as well. But if you use one of those agencies, one of those sitting caring agencies, you'll want to make sure that they are bonded.
Yes, and it happens too. It happens in assisted living and everything, and a lot of times that ranges because they have declined. It just we found it later, deep under a cushion or in the refrigerator, but it happens. I know. Ask this too when you go to any of these communities, ours, we do background checks on all of our associates that we hire, from the maintenance to the cooks to all, every one of them has to go through a background check. Now, that doesn't, mean that stuff doesn't happen, but yeah, so.
Any other questions?
Go ahead, Linda. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. You do, and that kind of answers what you were talking about, Rick. It depends on, what you're getting. I mean, what you pay for, and just like anything else. So,
What
yes.
about in-home living or having someone to come? Do you have any questions about that, where you have someone coming into your home and caring for your loved one? Any?
Yes. 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 Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
And Patty, you mentioned that
Yeah.
home health can
Yes.
come in.
Yes, they can. A home health company or a sitting company. My daughter is the director of one of them that's called Professional Caretakers in Granbury and in Weatherford. And they come in and they will even do light housekeeping, just, minor stuff, wash the dishes up, run errands, take them. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh. Exactly. Yes, yes. Yeah. No, things like that. Uh-huh. And I really look, Donnie, I really look to seeing that get even more popular because of the high cost in these communities. I'm personally thinking about bringing my little mother-in-law home, just taking a break, and hospice says she has maybe 6 months, who knows, but she's in a memory care, and she never really wanted to die in one of these places, and she's in a good place, but I don't know. It's something I'm praying about, but I will have to use one of these places to help, relieve. Yeah, yeah, yes. Well, a lot of home health is going to take, now that's something that what we really do need to make mention of. Home health, Medicare will take care of. Medicare takes care of home health. Um, and like hospice. Now, and if you have insurance, they're going to take it, but if they don't, hospice usually is going to help you anyway. But home health is Medicare. You want to ask that? Yes. And so a lot of times that's why we say in these like an assisted living, if you want mom to be on a home health, they'll take care of those showers. See, Medicare's paying for that. It gets that cost of care level down. Yes, and like I said in the beginning, those eyes are having extra eyes. Yes, ma'am. Oh, yes, yeah. You have to have that doctor to say the doctor referral, and at that age, I mean, most of the time it's a given that they should be. Yeah, I mean, most.
The doctor does
Hmm.
have to keep writing the
Recertifying.
order, recertifying.
Yes, yes.
Now, Medicare Medicare does have a requirement that they have to make a certain amount of progress
Yes, but
during a period of time. And if they don't make that progress, then they are not liable to rewrite that.
right.
However, that is based on age and the health of that individual.
Most people in their 90s, and this is my experience, Donnie, most people in their 90s qualify for home health, for hospice. I mean, they're just going to because they're in their 90s. Their life is already going, progressing downwards, not, they don't have another 20, 30 years. So most people do, but I'm kind of surprised. But that's what I was saying a while ago. When you get in these rehabs and skilled nursing places and you go through your PT and all that, they can call you up and say, hey, we're releasing them tomorrow. You need to have a place. The doctor says they can't go back home. And so you have to be, used to you had 100 days, and that's changed. The way all of this is all changed. If you got hurt and you go in and you're in rehab and all that, they would give you 100 days to the very bottom of the last hour and minute, But it's all changing so fast, really fast, and sometimes it's hard to keep up with all the changes. But yes, ma'am. So, okay. That's a good question, and I'm not sure. You're talking about if they needed a wheelchair ramp or they needed. I, yeah, I don't think so.
We've got a group of guys
There you
in the
go.
church that literally,
Yeah.
that's what they do. They're called ramp rats, and they build ramps and this.
I love it.
and they build ramps into houses or elevations within the house, and it's all state regulated. They follow those regulations and mandates as far as heights and so forth. They will help do the bars and all of that kind of thing. So,
Yeah. 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 That's something that hospice does too. If they're on hospice or whatever, they'll bring in all of that. Home health may, depending on what their needs, they may write an order that they need that stuff, that doctor, but not always do they provide it. So you have to just look at that. Yeah. I'm glad to know that about them ramp rats. I didn't know that. That's really good to know.
they have a trailer and all the equipment, and they usually move into an area,
Yeah.
a home, and within 2 days it's done.
Wow, that's
According
awesome.
to
Yeah, yes, all that stuff. Yeah. So, well, if there's not any more questions, thank you so much for letting me share with you. Yes, okay. I could talk about this forever and ever, but I better give him the mic.